My boyfriend stood in my studio apartment last Tuesday and actually laughed. Not a small chuckle but a full laugh that echoed off my bare walls. Babe, when are you going to get a real place? This is embarrassing. I was sitting on my second-hand couch, the one I'd bought from Facebook Marketplace for $200, watching him examine my space like it was a museum exhibit of poverty. Marcus had been my boyfriend for 8 months and this was his first time seeing where I lived. I'd always made excuses before, saying my place was being renovated or my roommate had guests, but he'd finally insisted on coming over. What's wrong with it? My voice came out quieter than I intended. He gestured around with his designer watch catching the afternoon light. Come on, Jen. Look at this place. It's like 400 square feet max. No dishwasher, no parking spot, probably paper-thin walls. He sat down next to me, his Armani cologne filling the small space. I'm not trying to be mean, but you need to face reality. You're 32 years old, working some admin job, living like a college student. When are you going to grow up? I'd met Marcus at a charity gala where I'd been checking coat tickets. He'd assumed I was a guest and started chatting me up by the champagne fountain. I didn't correct him about my job that night because, honestly, it felt nice being treated like I belonged in that world for once. By the time he asked for my number, the truth seemed too awkward to mention. My job pays enough, I said, picking at a thread on my couch cushion. Barely, apparently. He stood up and walked to my kitchenette, opening my fridge. Generic brands. No wine. Do you even own real plates or just these plastic things? He held up one of my dishes like evidence in a trial. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. The property management company I used to stay anonymous. I ignored it. Look, I care about you, Marcus continued, closing my fridge. But I can't introduce you to my colleagues when you live like this. My apartment has a doorman, a gym, a rooftop pool. It's in a real building with real amenities. This is just sad. Where do you live again? I asked, even though I knew exactly where he lived. The Morrison building on 5th. You know, that new luxury development downtown? My place is 1,800 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, floor-to-ceiling windows. I pay $4,200 a month, but it's worth it for the lifestyle. He said it like he was trying to sell me something. I knew the exact unit. 7C. I also knew he'd been late on rent twice in the past 6 months, and my property manager had sent him warning notices both times. That sounds nice, I said simply. It is nice. That's my point. You need to upgrade your life. Get a better job, move to a better building. I could help you find something in a decent neighborhood. Nothing as nice as my place, obviously, but something with at least a proper bedroom separated from the living area. The buzzing from my phone continued. I finally picked it up and saw 3 messages from Elena Rodriguez, my property manager. Emergency in 7C. Tenant complaint. Call Ithy. I need to take this, I told Marcus. He rolled his eyes. Who's calling you that's so important? I walked into my tiny bathroom, the only room with a door, and called Elena back. Jen, thank God. Your boyfriend's toilet is overflowing. He called screaming about incompetent building maintenance and threatening to sue. He doesn't know it's you obviously, but he's demanding the owner contact him personally. I closed my eyes and took a breath. How bad is it? The plumber is there now. Looks like he flushed paper towels down the toilet repeatedly. His fault entirely, but he's insisting the building's plumbing is defective and demanding we pay for his damaged bathroom rug. A $3,000 rug, apparently. Through the thin bathroom door, I could hear Marcus on his phone. Yeah, I'm at my girlfriend's place. You should see this dump, bro. I'm telling you, I need to stage an intervention or something. I'll handle it, I told Elena. Send me the plumber's report. When I came out, Marcus was sitting on my couch scrolling through his phone. Everything okay? He asked without looking up. Fine. Just work stuff. He laughed. Work calling you on a Saturday? What kind of admin job requires weekend work? I sat down next to him, my laptop nearby on the coffee table. I could see my email notifications piling up. Property tax documents for the Morrison building. Quarterly financial reports from my investment portfolio. A message from my accountant about my real estate holdings. Marcus, can I ask you something? Sure, babe. Do you like your apartment? His whole face lit up. Are you kidding? I love it. Best decision I ever made. The location alone is worth the price. Plus the building has everything. Though honestly, the management company is terrible. They take forever to fix anything, they're always bothering me about rent being a few days late, and don't even get me started on this toilet situation I'm dealing with right now. What toilet situation? My master bathroom toilet just started overflowing. Can you believe it? In a luxury building that charges $4,200 a month? I called the emergency maintenance line and they're sending someone, but I'm definitely complaining to the owner. This is unacceptable. I picked up my laptop and opened it casually. Did they tell you when someone would arrive? They said someone's already there, but I didn't want to deal with it. I told them I had plans today and they needed to handle it without me being present. I gave them permission to enter my unit. He shrugged. That's what the expensive rent is for, right? They should be able to fix problems without me having to babysit them. My email refreshed. New message from Elena. Plumber confirms tenant flushed multiple paper towels. Created blockage. $850 repair cost. Tenant still demanding building pay for his rug. What are you looking at? Marcus asked, trying to see my screen. I angled it away slightly. Just checking some things. On a Saturday? You really need a better work-life balance. He reached over and tried to close my laptop. Come on, pay attention to me. I came all the way to your neighborhood to see you. My neighborhood. The Morrison building was 6 blocks from my studio. I'd purchased the entire building 3 years ago through an LLC specifically to avoid attention. 8 floors, 32 luxury units, and a ground floor retail space I leased to an upscale coffee shop. My studio apartment was in a different building 2 blocks away, one I didn't own, specifically chosen because it was small and unremarkable. Nobody looks at a woman in a $850 per month studio and thinks she owns $15 million in real estate. Marcus, why did you want to date me? He seemed surprised by the question. What do you mean? I mean, you clearly think I'm beneath you financially. You mock where I live, my job, my dishes. So why are you here? He put his hand on my knee. Look, I'm sorry if I came off harsh. You're beautiful, you're sweet, you laugh at my jokes. I see potential in you. You just need some guidance, you know? A strong man to help you level up your life. That's what I'm offering here. The words sat between us like a bad smell. My phone rang. Elena again. I really need to take this, I said, standing up. Is someone dying? Marcus asked, annoyed. I walked back to the bathroom and answered. Your tenant is losing his mind, Elena said. He called back demanding to speak to ownership about the negligent maintenance. He's threatening to break his lease early and demanding his security deposit back. He also said, quote, tell whoever owns this dump that they're about to get a lawsuit. Send him a formal letter, I said calmly. Cite the plumber's report. Make it clear the damage was caused by tenant misuse and he's responsible for all repair costs. Include photos of the paper towels removed from the plumbing. And Elena? Add the cost of his rug to his account as non-billable, since he's lying about building defects causing the issue. Got it. Want me to mention potential lease termination for excessive complaints and threatening behavior towards staff? Not yet. Just document everything. When I returned, Marcus was in my kitchenette area making himself a sandwich with my generic peanut butter. You don't mind, right? I'm starving and you don't have anything good here anyway. I sat back down on my couch and opened my laptop fully. The Morrison Building LLC account showed up on my screen, complete with all the financial details Marcus would never see. Marcus, I need to tell you something. He came back with his sandwich, not even offering to make me one. What's up? I'm not really an admin. He laughed through a mouthful of peanut butter. What are you, a secret millionaire or something? Something like that. He swallowed and his smile faded slightly. Wait, what? I turned my laptop toward him. I own real estate. Several properties actually, including one you might be familiar with. His eyes scanned my screen and I watched his face change color in real time. The Morrison Building LLC. Property value, $15.2 million. Owner, Jennifer Chin. His mouth opened and closed several times. This is, you own. The Morrison Building, yes. Your apartment building. I'm your landlord, Marcus. Have been since before we met. He stood up so fast he knocked over his sandwich plate. That's impossible. You live here. You can't even afford decent furniture. I choose to live simply. It helps me stay grounded and avoid attention from people who might be interested in my money rather than me. His face went from shock to red anger. Is this some kind of joke? Did you know who I was? Did you target me? I had no idea you lived in one of my buildings until our third date when you mentioned the address. By then I liked you and decided to see where it went. Clearly I made a mistake. You made a mistake? His voice got louder. You've been lying to me for 8 months. I withheld information about my finances. You've spent 8 months insulting me, my choices, and my home while bragging about living in a building I own and paying me rent that you're apparently often late with. Late? I'm never. He stopped, remembering. That was only twice, and I explained to that property manager woman that I had cash flow issues those months. You told her your girlfriend's birthday present was more important than paying your rent on time. He went pale. She told you that? Elena tells me everything. She's very thorough. She also told me about the 6 noise complaints from your neighbors in the past 4 months. The unauthorized subletting of your second bedroom last summer. The parking violation where you parked in the handicap spot because you were in a hurry. Should I continue? Marcus grabbed his jacket from my chair. You're insane. This whole thing is insane. You know what? I'm done. We're done. You can keep your sad little apartment and your creepy secret landlord games. Don't forget your toilet is broken, I called as he headed for the door. He turned back, pointing at me. You're going to fix that. Today. For free. And you're going to apologize for whatever cheap plumbing you installed in that building. I smiled for the first time all day. Actually, check your email. You should have received a formal notice about an hour ago regarding responsibility for repairs caused by tenant misuse. The $850 plumbing repair will be added to next month's rent, along with a $250 fine for excessive maintenance calls and threats towards staff. You can't do that. I can, and I did. It's all in your lease, which you clearly never read. Section 8, paragraph 3. Tenant responsibility for damage caused by negligence or misuse of property. He stared at me like I'd grown a second head. You're actually serious right now? Completely serious. You also owe me $4,200 for this month's rent, which is now 3 days late according to your lease terms. After 5 days, I charge a $150 late fee per day. I'll be out of that apartment by the end of the month, he said through gritted teeth. Your lease isn't up until March, that's 4 months away. Breaking it early will cost you 3 months' rent plus your security deposit. $15,400 total. Plus the plumbing repair and fine. $16,500. Would you like me to draw up the paperwork? Marcus's face went through several shades of red. This is why women like you stay single. You think you're so smart with your money and your properties, but you'll end up alone because you're undateable. I'd rather be alone than be with someone who only valued me when he thought I was beneath him financially. You didn't want a girlfriend, Marcus. You wanted a project. Someone you could feel superior to while pretending to help me improve my life. He yanked my door open so hard it bounced off the wall. Have fun with your sad little studio apartment, playing pretend landlord while you die alone. The door slammed. I sat in the silence of my supposedly sad little studio, my laptop still open to my property portfolio. My phone buzzed again. Elena. Tenant Marcus Reeves just called screaming that he's breaking his lease. I recorded the call per protocol. He's making threats again. Want me to pursue legal action? Me. Send him the official lease break terms. Everything by the book. If he doesn't pay, proceed with collections. And Elena? Thank you for all your hard work today. Elena. My pleasure. For what it's worth, you deserve better than tenants who can't flush properly or boyfriends who can't appreciate what's in front of them. I smiled and closed my laptop. My studio apartment looked the same as it had an hour ago. Second-hand couch, generic plates, no dishwasher. But sitting here now felt different. Lighter somehow. The next morning, I woke up to 47 text messages from Marcus. The first few were angry, calling me manipulative and deceptive. Then they shifted to apologetic around 2 a.m., saying he'd overreacted and we should talk. By 5 a.m. they turned desperate, asking if we could work something out regarding his lease situation. I deleted them all and blocked his number. Elena called me at 9 a.m. on Monday morning, her voice tense. Jen, we have a situation. Marcus showed up at the building management office demanding to speak with ownership. When I told him that wasn't possible, he started yelling that he knew the owner personally and I'd be fired by the end of the day. How did the staff handle it? Diego called security. They escorted him out. But he's threatening to call a lawyer and sue for harassment and illegal lease terms. He's claiming you're using your position as building owner to persecute him for ending your relationship. I poured my coffee into my generic mug and sat down at my small kitchen table. Send me the video footage from the security cameras. 20 minutes later, I was watching Marcus gesticulate wildly in the lobby, his face red, pointing at Elena while Diego stood between them. The audio was clear. That Jennifer bitch is abusing her power. This is discrimination. I'll own this building when I'm done suing. I forwarded the video to my lawyer, Patricia Okafor, with a brief explanation. She called back within the hour. This is a gift, Jen. He's made specific threats that are documented. We can pursue a restraining order if needed, and his threats about suing actually strengthen our position if he tries to break his lease. I'm drafting a cease and desist letter right now. What about his claim that I'm persecuting him? Patricia laughed. Please. He flushed paper towels down an industrial toilet and created a plumbing emergency. You're charging him exactly what your lease allows. The fact that you dated briefly is irrelevant to his lease obligations. If anything, you could argue you've been extremely lenient given his payment history. I went to work that day at my admin job. Actually, I was a silent partner in a commercial real estate development firm, but I liked keeping a desk there to stay involved in the industry. My assistant Keiko greeted me with a stack of messages. Someone named Marcus called 6 times. He claims it's urgent regarding a property matter. Should I add him to your call list? No. Block that number. She raised an eyebrow but didn't ask questions. Around noon, my phone rang from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Jennifer? It's me. Marcus's voice was strained. Please don't hang up. How did you get this number? I called your office. Look, I'm sorry about yesterday. I was shocked and handled it badly. Can we please meet to talk about this? There's nothing to talk about, Marcus. Please. I didn't mean those things I said. I was hurt and lashed out. You have to understand, finding out my girlfriend is actually my landlord was a lot to process. I'm not your girlfriend anymore. I am, however, still your landlord until March or until you fulfill the terms of your lease break clause. About that. His voice got quieter. I can't afford $16,500 right now. I was hoping we could work out a payment plan or something. You just spent $3,000 on a bathroom rug. Look, I have expenses. My car payment, my lifestyle cost. I can't just drop 15 grand on breaking a lease. Then don't break your lease. Stay until March, pay your rent on time and follow the building rules. It's that simple. How am I supposed to live there knowing my ex-girlfriend owns the building? It's humiliating. That's not my problem, Marcus. You created this situation by being late on rent, damaging property, and treating building staff poorly. Your personal feelings about our failed relationship don't change your legal obligations as a tenant. You're really going to do this? His voice hardened. You're going to financially destroy me over a broken toilet? I'm going to hold you to the lease you signed. That's literally my job as a property owner. If you'd like to discuss this further, please contact my lawyer. Her information is in the letter you'll receive this afternoon. I hung up and immediately called Patricia. He's going to be difficult. Let him. We have everything documented. Unless he wants to commit fraud or destroy property, there's nothing he can do except pay what he owes. That evening, I met my best friend Simone for dinner at our favorite Thai place. She listened to the whole story while eating pad Thai and occasionally gasping. So let me get this straight, she said, pointing her fork at me. This man stood in your apartment, insulted everything about your life, bragged about his expensive lifestyle, then found out you're his landlord and owns a building worth $15 million? Basically, yes. Simone laughed so hard she had to put down her fork. Jen, this is the best thing I've ever heard. Please tell me you're documenting all of this. My property manager is. Why? Because this is a story for the ages. The cautionary tale of a man who judged a book by its cover and ended up owing his ex-girlfriend $16,500. I don't want to be petty about this. Petty? Jen, you're being entirely reasonable. He owes you money, he damaged your property, and he's throwing a tantrum about it. That's not you being petty, that's him facing consequences for the first time in his privileged life. My phone buzzed. Another unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Later, listening to the message, Miss Chin, this is David Reeves, Marcus's father. I understand there's been some kind of dispute regarding my son's lease. I'd like to discuss this matter with you directly. My son is going through a difficult time with his recent breakup, and I'm hoping we can resolve this situation amicably. Please call me back at. I showed the message to Simone. Oh, he called his daddy? She was practically gleeful. This gets better and better. Should I call him back? Absolutely not. Let your lawyer handle it. That's what you pay her for. Patricia agreed when I forwarded her the message. Don't engage with family members. This is a business matter and they're trying to make it personal to manipulate you. I'll send Mr. Reeves a letter explaining that all communication should go through me. 3 days later, I received a formal letter from a lawyer representing Marcus. It was 10 pages of legal jargon essentially arguing that the lease was invalid due to conflict of interest and undisclosed material facts regarding the landlord-tenant relationship. Patricia's response was 2 pages and absolutely brutal. She cited case law, referenced the video evidence of Marcus's threats, and pointed out that his lawyer was grasping at straws. The tenant entered into a lease agreement in good faith. The identity of the property owner is not a material fact requiring disclosure in residential lease agreements. Furthermore, the personal relationship began months after the lease was signed, making his conflict of interest claim baseless. A week passed. Marcus paid his rent on time for the first time in months, along with the plumbing repair cost and fine. No note, no message, just a bank transfer that arrived at exactly 11:59 p.m. on the due date. Elena called me that afternoon. Your tenant in 7C has been extremely quiet. No maintenance calls, no complaints, no incidents. It's almost eerie. Maybe he's learned his lesson. Or maybe he's planning something. He was right to be suspicious. 3 weeks after our breakup, I got a call from the health department. Someone had filed a complaint about multiple code violations at the Morrison building. Mold, pest infestations, unsafe electrical systems, inadequate fire exits. I spent 2 days with inspectors going through every inch of the building. They found nothing, because there was nothing to find. I maintained my properties meticulously. Do you know who filed the complaint? I asked the lead inspector. He checked his clipboard. Anonymous tip through our online portal. Happens sometimes with disgruntled tenants or neighbors. But I knew. The timing was too perfect. Patricia filed a harassment claim and through legal channels we confirmed what I already suspected. Marcus had filed the complaint using a VPN to hide his identity. But he'd been sloppy and used his personal email address in the follow-up correspondence. This is witness intimidation and harassment, Patricia said. We can pursue charges. Will it stick? Probably not enough for criminal charges, but it strengthens our civil case if he tries anything else. More importantly, it shows a pattern of retaliation. That weekend, I was at my studio apartment sorting through mail when I heard a knock. I looked through the peephole and saw Marcus standing there with flowers. I didn't open the door. Jen, I know you're in there. Your car is outside. Please, just give me 5 minutes. Go away, Marcus. I brought you flowers. Your favorites, the pink roses. I'd never told him my favorite flowers. He was guessing. If you don't leave, I'm calling the police. For bringing flowers? That's crazy. I'm just trying to apologize. I pulled out my phone and started dialing. He must have heard me through the door because he backed away. Fine. Keep being unreasonable. But you should know people are starting to ask questions about why you're targeting me. Word gets around in real estate circles. That made me open the door. What are you talking about? He smiled, clearly pleased he'd gotten my attention. My father knows a lot of people in commercial real estate. He's been making some calls asking about Jennifer Chin and her business practices. Wondering if maybe you have a history of conflicts with tenants. Your father is threatening my professional reputation because you can't handle rejection? I'm just saying, things could get complicated for you. Unless we work something out. Are you actually trying to blackmail me right now? Blackmail? No. I'm just pointing out that this situation could go away very quietly if you wanted it to. Drop the lease break fees, give me my security deposit back, we both move on. I pulled my phone back out. I'm documenting this conversation. You're now on video attempting to extort me by threatening my business reputation. His face went pale. I wasn't. Yes, you were. Get off my property. Do not come back. Do not contact me. Any further communication goes through lawyers. I slammed the door and immediately sent the video to Patricia. Her response came in minutes. File a restraining order. Today. This has escalated beyond a business dispute. The restraining order hearing was scheduled for the following week. Marcus showed up with his expensive lawyer and they both looked confident. That confidence lasted until the judge reviewed our evidence. The video of him threatening building staff, the false health department complaint traced to his email, and the recording of his attempted extortion outside my apartment. Mr. Reeves, the judge said, looking over her glasses at him. You've created a pattern of harassment toward Ms. Chin in retaliation for a failed personal relationship. The restraining order is granted. You are to have no contact with Ms. Chin or her properties, including the Morrison building. Marcus's lawyer stood up quickly. Your Honor, my client resides in the Morrison building. He can't avoid his own residence. Then I suggest he either comply with his lease terms or work with Ms. Chen's attorney to arrange an amicable separation from the property. But he will do so through legal channels with no direct contact with Ms. Chen. Am I clear? Yes, Your Honor, Marcus muttered. Outside the courtroom, Patricia pulled me aside. He's going to have to move. There's no way he can stay in that building now. Good. Within a week, Marcus's lawyer contacted Patricia with a proposal. Marcus would pay 2 months' rent as penalty for breaking the lease early instead of 3, forfeit his security deposit and agree to move out within 30 days. In exchange, both parties would sign a mutual non-disparagement agreement. Take it, Patricia advised. It's not the full amount you're owed, but it ends this cleanly. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to push for everything, but another part was just exhausted. Fine. Draw up the papers. Marcus moved out 3 weeks later. Elena sent me photos of the apartment after he left. Spotless. Every wall repainted, every surface cleaned, carpet professionally shampooed. The apartment was in better condition than when he'd moved in. I think he was scared of what you'd charge him for damages, Elena said. He actually hired a professional cleaning service. 2 months after everything settled, I was at a fundraiser for a non-profit I supported. I was standing by the bar in my simple black dress and minimal jewelry, looking exactly like the anonymous donor I preferred to be. Jennifer. I turned and saw Marcus standing a few feet away, looking uncomfortable in his tuxedo. A blonde woman in a designer gown was attached to his arm. Marcus. I didn't know you'd be here. I come every year. The woman looked between us, clearly sensing tension. Who's this babe? An old friend, Marcus said quickly. Jennifer, this is Christina. Christina extended her hand and I noticed her massive engagement ring. Nice to meet you. Marcus, you didn't tell me you knew anyone here. We used to know each other. Briefly. He was sweating slightly. How do you two know each other? Christina asked brightly. I used to be his landlord, I said, smiling. Marcus's face went red. Should we get our table? But Christina was intrigued now. You're in real estate? That's so cool. What do you do? I own a few commercial properties. Nothing too exciting. She's being modest, another voice said behind me. I turned to see Richard Chin, my business partner, no relation despite the shared last name, joining us. Jennifer owns one of the most successful commercial real estate portfolios in the city. The Morrison building downtown? That's one of hers. Marcus looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. The Morrison building? Christina's eyes went wide. Marcus, wasn't that where you used to live? What a coincidence. Yes, I said sweetly. Very small world. Richard, bless him, picked up on the tension immediately. Jennifer, we should go find our table. The auction is starting soon. He offered his arm. Nice meeting you both. As we walked away, I could hear Christina. You never told me your old landlord would be here. She seems so nice. Richard leaned close. That was your problem tenant, wasn't it? How did you know? You had that look. The one you get when you're being professionally pleasant but internally enjoying someone's discomfort. I don't have a look. You absolutely have a look. The auction started and I bid on a few items. A weekend getaway package, a piece of art from a local artist, a private dinner prepared by a celebrity chef. Marcus watched from across the room every time I raced my paddle. At the end of the night, I'd spent $15,000 on auction items, all going to charity. Walking to my car afterward, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello. Jennifer. It was Marcus. Can we talk for a minute? How did you get this number? Again. I saw you tonight and I realized I never properly apologized. Marcus, you're engaged. You've moved on. This conversation is inappropriate. I know. You're right. I just needed to say I'm sorry. For all of it. You deserved better. I stopped next to my car. Why are you really calling? He was quiet for a moment. Christina asked me why things ended with you. And I didn't know what to tell her. Because the truth makes me look terrible. Then maybe that should tell you something. I treated you badly. I judged you for living simply when you had more money than I ever will. I felt threatened by your success once I found out about it. And then I tried to hurt you because I was embarrassed. Okay. That's it? Just okay. What do you want me to say, Marcus? That I forgive you? That it's all fine? It's not. You revealed who you really are when you thought I had nothing. That matters more than any apology. I know. I wanted you to know I recognize that now. Good for you. Have a nice life. I hung up and got in my car. A text came through a minute later. I mean it. I'm sorry. I hope you find someone who appreciates everything you are. I blocked the number and drove home to my studio apartment. 6 months after the fundraiser, I was sitting in my studio on a Saturday morning reading the newspaper when I saw an announcement in the business section. Marcus Reeves and Christina Ashford wedding celebration at the Plaza Hotel. I studied the engagement photo. They looked happy. Christina's dress probably cost more than my annual grocery budget. My phone rang. Simone. Did you see the newspaper? I'm looking at it now. How do you feel? I looked around my little studio apartment. The second-hand couch I'd grown attached to. My generic plates that held my food just fine. The small space that I'd chosen because it kept me grounded. Honestly, I feel grateful. Grateful. That he showed me who he was before I got in any deeper. That I trusted my instincts about keeping my finances private. That I learned the lesson about people who only value you when they think you need them. That's very mature of you. Also, I'm buying a new property next month. A mixed-use development in the Arts District. 6 commercial units, 12 residential. I'm very excited about it. Simone laughed. There's my girl. Living well is the best revenge. It's not revenge. It's just living well. But I smiled anyway. A year after everything ended, I got an invitation in the mail. Heavy cardstock, elegant calligraphy. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Marcus Reeves and Christina Ashford. I held it for a long moment, then put it in my recycling bin. Elena called that afternoon. Did you get one too? A wedding invitation? Yeah. From your former tenant. I got one addressed to the property management company. It's weird, right? Very weird. Are you going? Absolutely not. That night, I went to dinner with Richard and his wife Maya at their favorite steakhouse. Over wine and perfectly cooked ribeyes, I told them the whole story from beginning to end. Maya shook her head. Men like that never change. They just find new people to impress. Christina seems nice though, I said. I hope she knows what she's getting into. Should you warn her? Richard asked. Absolutely not. That's not my place. She'll figure it out on her own, or maybe he really has changed. Either way, it's not my problem anymore. Maya raised her glass. To moving on and living well. We clinked glasses and I felt the last piece of anger I'd been carrying finally dissolve. 2 years after Marcus moved out, I sold the Morrison building. The market was right and a developer made an offer I couldn't refuse. $18.3 million. A $3.1 million profit in just 5 years. Elena called me when she heard. What am I going to do without you as a boss? The new owners are keeping all existing staff. You'll be fine. Better than fine. They're giving everyone raises. It won't be the same. No, but that's okay. Things change. With the profits from the sale, I bought 2 smaller buildings in up-and-coming neighborhoods and invested the rest in a commercial development project Richard was heading. My portfolio was now worth over $25 million, and I was still living in my $850 per month studio apartment. Simone thought I was crazy. Jen, you're rich. Buy a nice place. Get the floor-to-ceiling windows and the doorman. I like my studio. You like proving a point. Maybe she was right. But sitting in my small space with my generic plates and second-hand couch, I felt more myself than I ever had. The studio wasn't a limitation, it was a choice. And that made all the difference. 3 years after everything ended, I was at a coffee shop near my office when someone sat down at my table without asking. I looked up from my laptop, ready to tell them the seat was taken, and found myself staring at Christina. Hi, she said quietly. I'm sorry to bother you. I've been trying to work up the courage to approach you for 20 minutes. Christina. Hi. She looked different than at the fundraiser. Thinner, tired, her expensive clothes hanging slightly loose. I know this is weird, but I needed to talk to you. About Marcus. My stomach dropped. I really don't think. Please. Just 5 minutes. Her eyes were desperate. I don't have anyone else who would understand. Against my better judgment, I closed my laptop. Okay. She took a shaky breath. We're getting divorced. The papers were filed last week. I'm sorry to hear that. Don't be. You tried to warn me in your way. At that fundraiser when you said you used to be his landlord. I should have asked more questions. What happened? Everything you probably could have told me would happen. The financial irresponsibility, the need to feel superior, the way he talks down to anyone he perceives as beneath him. We've been married 18 months and I already can't stand him. She pulled out her phone and showed me screenshots. Text messages from Marcus complaining about his wife's cheap friends. Emails berating her for suggesting they budget better. A photo of their apartment. Massive, expensive, decorated like a showroom. He wanted all of this, she gestured at the photo. The luxury lifestyle, the appearances. I paid for most of it because his salary couldn't cover what he wanted to spend. And the whole time he acted like he was doing me a favor by marrying me. Why are you telling me this? She looked at me directly. Because I found the lawsuit papers. From when you owned his building. I read everything, the lease violations, the attempted extortion, all of it. And I realized you got out before it got worse. I wanted to know how you did it. I thought about lying, about being diplomatic. But she deserved the truth. I stopped caring what he thought of me. I stopped trying to prove anything to him or anyone else. I lived my life according to my values, not his. And when he couldn't accept that, I let him go. That sounds so simple. It wasn't. It hurt. I questioned myself constantly. But eventually, I realized that someone who needed me to be smaller so they could feel bigger wasn't someone I wanted in my life. Christina nodded, tears forming in her eyes. He made me quit my job. Said his wife shouldn't have to work. Then he complained that I didn't understand the value of money because I wasn't earning it. That's financial abuse. I know. My therapist said the same thing. She wiped her eyes. I just wanted to thank you. For not warning me off, actually. I wouldn't have listened anyway. Some things you have to learn yourself. What will you do now? Move back home to Boston. Start over. Figure out who I am when I'm not trying to be what someone else wants. She stood up. Thank you for talking to me. Christina, you're going to be okay. She smiled and for the first time it reached her eyes. Yeah. I think I will be. I watched her walk out of the coffee shop and then I opened my laptop and got back to work. That evening, I sat in my studio apartment with takeout from the Thai place and my laptop open to my investment accounts. 25 million in assets. Properties across the city. A successful career. Good friends. Freedom to live however I wanted. I thought about Marcus and his need for expensive things to prove his worth. About Christina learning to value herself outside someone else's expectations. About the studio apartment I'd chosen when I could afford any home in the city. My phone buzzed. Elena, even though I'd sold the Morrison building 2 years ago, we still texted regularly. Elena, random question. Do you ever regret not telling Marcus who you were from the beginning? Me, never. If I'd told him, I never would have seen his true character. Elena, fair point. Also, funny story. The new owners raised his old unit's rent to $5,800 per month. The new tenant is apparently very nice and pays early every month. Me, good for them. Elena, Marcus would die if he knew what he could have had if he'd just been a decent human being. I smiled and put my phone down. 4 years after our breakup, I finally moved out of my studio apartment. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I bought a modest 2-bedroom condo with a small balcony and room for a home office. Nothing fancy but mine. Simone helped me pack, holding up my generic plates. Are these coming with you? Of course. They work fine. You're impossible. I'm consistent. The new condo felt right. Still simple, still me, just with a little more space to breathe. Richard and Maya came over for dinner the first night, bringing wine and a housewarming gift. A beautiful painting by a local artist. To new beginnings, Richard toasted. To knowing your worth, Maya added. To good friends, I said, clinking my generic plates against their wine glasses. We laughed and I realized I was completely happy. Not happy despite my choices, but happy because of them. 5 years after Marcus moved out of the Morrison building, I ran into him one more time. I was leaving a restaurant after a business dinner when I heard my name. Jennifer. He was alone, carrying groceries in reusable bags, looking older and somehow smaller than I remembered. Marcus. Hi. I heard you sold the Morrison building. Made a nice profit. I did. He shifted his grocery bags. And you're doing well? The real estate business is good. Very good. That's great. Really. He seemed to mean it. I'm working in sales now. Medical devices. It's steady. That's good. We stood there for a moment in awkward silence. I think about that day in your studio apartment sometimes, he said quietly. How different things could have been if I'd just seen you for who you were instead of judging you for what you didn't have. We both learned something from it. I learned I was an idiot, he said with a sad smile. What did you learn? I thought about it. That the people who matter don't care what you have. They care who you are. He nodded. Christina said something similar in her divorce filing. that I valued appearances over substance. She's doing well, by the way. I saw on LinkedIn she started her own consulting firm. Good for her. She deserves it. He meant that too. Well, I should get these groceries home. Ice cream's melting. Take care, Marcus. You too, Jennifer. And for what it's worth, I'm glad you didn't change who you were for me. Even though I tried to make you. I watched him walk away with his grocery bags and I felt nothing but peace. That's where my story ends. Not with revenge or dramatic confrontation, but with something quieter and more valuable. Self-knowledge and peace. I still own multiple properties around the city. My portfolio has grown to over $30 million. I drive a practical 10-year-old car and shop at regular grocery stores and eat off those same generic plates. People who meet me now have no idea what I'm worth, and that's exactly how I like it. The ones who judge me for my choices show themselves quickly. The ones who see past the surface are worth keeping around. Marcus taught me that hiding who you are reveals who everyone else is. It's a lesson I wouldn't trade for anything. Sometimes people ask if I regret not having the luxury lifestyle I could afford. I tell them I have exactly the luxury I want. The luxury of being myself without apology. That's worth more than any penthouse or designer handbag could ever be.